Hello, everybody. Welcome back to your daily crypto news. Hope that you're all doing well and that you're all having a fantastic day. As always, a very big thank you to everyone who leaves a like, who leaves a comment, who has subscribed. Very big thank you to clickers of affiliate links, and also a very big thank you on the support of all the art, especially over the last couple of days. Thank you very, very much. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. I'm going to show you the roller coaster of emotions when it comes to the cryptocurrency prices. It says Bitcoin and Ethereum remain supported. Binance coin is moving higher. At the moment, at the time of me making this video, Bitcoin and Ethereum are kind of moving sideways up. I would not hold my breath. It still looks like we're in that really weird tight range pattern where we're just simply bouncing off of two numbers back and forth. I do not know if it is an ascending triangle, meaning we are going to be moving up, or if it's descending and at some point we will begin to fall back down. And funnily enough, the news also does not know either. It says Ethereum underperforms as price action remains below $3,000. To be expected, there's no actual hyper momentum in the market as an indication for any actual movement that we're going to be having or direction that we are going to be going. This one, however, says Bitcoin and Ethereum flash buy signals on low liquidity. This is also a fairly discussed topic today, and I'm not really sure why it popped up. Apparently, well, not even apparently, continuously, the amount of Bitcoin and Ethereum on crypto exchanges continues to decrease, even over the last couple of weeks, as we have seen prices move sideways down, go up to 41,000, move back to 38,000 something, and change. The amount of crypto on crypto exchanges continues to fall. People are continuously moving their coins off, and the amount of illiquid coins, the coins that are simply not like liquid anymore and are not moving, continues to increase, meaning crypto exchanges continue to decrease the amount of crypto they have. The whales are still buying, and therefore this is a buy signal, as the amount of actual coins available left are not that many. Roller coaster. This one says Bitcoin's price to likely crash below $30,000 if this scenario plays out. It's basically if we continue the same type of price movements. If there isn't a rapid movement above $41,000, $42,000 per Bitcoin, and we don't remain there, therefore this could become relatively. Why did I do that? I had the microphone so far away from myself, I was leaning sideways over the computer to be able to get to it, as opposed to realizing I could just drag it. Why am I telling you all of this? The point is, this is the other part of the roller coaster. So keep in mind all the price news that we're going to be going over, because it's either Bitcoin's about to skyrocket or Bitcoin's about to fall. So Bitcoin's price, this one says, is likely to crash below 30,000 if we don't move up quickly and stay above those numbers. It says Bitcoin fails to hold above $40,000 once again. A price drop to come. This one says technical analysis. Bitcoin key indicators suggest strengthening case for a decent increase. What's the answer? Where are we going? I'll tell you the truthiest that I can. I feel like the actual lack of momentum that we have in the market right now is indicating that we are probably going to drop. I am not an oracle. I am not a mathematician wizard. That's not a mathematician wizard or anything like that. But it feels like the general sentiment is everyone in the space is waiting for prices to go up, or we all believe that prices should be higher. However, regardless of how much energy we throw into the market, it seems like we do need to fall again, because as far as I keep reading, a lot of analysts' websites are writing, if we drop, and I mean it's like a really dramatic drop, it kind of becomes one of those things that we saw in a couple of years ago, that where people kind of collectively decide this price is too low. Like, it's kind of, so think of it this way. If Bitcoin is currently $40,000, would you try to buy some Bitcoin? You may go, I don't know, I'm not really in the mood right now. If Bitcoin falls to 35,000, would you start buying Bitcoin? I don't really know. If Bitcoin fell down to $13,000 and you realize you were able to buy an entire Bitcoin, would you buy Bitcoin then? This is kind of the market has to constantly keep falling until we figure out a point where everyone collectively decides, oh, Bitcoin and Ethereum are definitely too cheap now. I need to buy as much of it as I possibly can. Why we have to keep going on through these trends over and over of we hit 70,000, Bitcoin's at 40,000, therefore it seems like it is undervalued compared to where we were before. Not really sure. This one says the 30-day drop in Bitcoin exchanges balance hints at an upcoming bull run. Yeah, but we've also had similar news to that over the last couple of months as well. I'm not sure exactly how low the supply has to drop for it to seem more attractive to people. But alas, it says over the last week, the world's largest cryptocurrency has flipped $40,000 into resistance, if you say so. As of press time, Bitcoin is trading at $39,509, more or less. But some on-chain signals suggest that the worst might be behind us, as we could be preparing for a major bull run ahead. Citing data from Glassnode, analyst On-Chain College, explained that the 30-day change in the Bitcoin exchange balance has hit negative levels seen very few times in the last 2 years. Thus, an amount of illiquid supply of Bitcoin continues to grow. There could be a supply crunch leading to a price surge. I mean, it's nice to see some kind of optimism in the market in some sort of way. The prices have just been extremely weird. I would like to believe, if nothing else, it just has to do with world events. That seems to be the most likely candidate for everything going on. So besides that roller coaster of emotions from the cryptocurrency market, i.e. Bitcoin's either about to fall to 27,000 or is about to get ready for a bull run, stocks are not also looking too hot. It says U.S. stock futures opened sharply lower on Thursday evening to give back gains after a regular session rally, with a fresh set of mixed quarterly results from some major technology companies weighing on index futures. So basically, this is kind of, earning time, and a lot of companies are announcing that their earnings aren't as earned or amazing as they thought they were going to be. Tech stocks are continuing to decline. Futures continue to fall. A lot of it, and so what we've been told is that sometime in early May is supposed to be when the Federal Reserve goes back onto their podium and tells people if they're going to be lowering or keeping the same or raising interest rates. I assume they're going to raise it, as a lot of articles and a lot of discussions and a lot of, people going on the news talking about how bad the economy is, how bad inflation is, and apparently the Federal Reserve keeps saying that they're trying to get it under control, even though they can't get it under control. So the only way that they're going to try and pretend that they can get it under control is by increasing interest rates. So I think when that happens, and this is kind of reality, I think much of the world, stock-wise, has kind of, or money-wise, drifted away from a lot of the issues that are happening in Eastern Europe right now. I told you all of this before. It's something about human psychology that after a good 2 or 3 weeks of being worried, we can't always be worried anymore. I know it's absolutely terrible because we should be constantly worried about a situation like this, but I think it comes down to too much stress in our own lives to constantly have to focus on one stressful thing. At least this is the idea that I'm getting, because you might notice that news is not around as much anymore, and a lot of it is simply about quarterly earnings reports and the Federal Reserve. So I think once the earnings reports are kind of done and no one really cares about them anymore in about a week and a half, and if we get the Fed saying what they're going to be doing, we should basically know if the market's going to be going up or going down. There should be no ambiguity there. Yeah, that is all the price news. As I always tell you, no one ever really knows where the prices are going to go. These are always just random predictions floating around. I personally think prices should be higher, but between the Wyckoff chart and Plan B and all this other stuff going on. It should be, Anyway, that's the price news, at least for right now. And yeah, let's move on. In the most popular news story of the day, Goldman Sachs has offered its first Bitcoin-backed loan. The arrangement, made popular over the past few years in the Bitcoin industry by newer companies, enables a Bitcoin holder to obtain fiat like the US dollar by putting up their Bitcoin as collateral to the bank. If the price of Bitcoin drops, the user may be required to increase their collateral, which sounds terrible, risking getting liquidated in case they fail to do so. The Wall Street, and keep in mind when you're hearing this, never forget this is a bank. The bank is not doing this to make it simpler for the person to be able to take out a loan or to get the house that they've always wanted. They're doing this usually with the expectation that someone is going to default on their loan and that they, the bank, Goldman Sachs, will be able to keep their Bitcoin. This is how banks work, and they're very predatory. Keep all of this in mind as I'm going through the actual news. The Wall Street giant lent cash collateralized by Bitcoin owned by the borrower for the first time, a spokesperson for the bank told Bloomberg. The deal was interesting to Goldman because of its structure and 24-hour risk management, she told the publication in an email. Banks don't do anything unless it's attractive to them, unless they feel like they can win in some sort of way. That's when they say yes. Bitcoin investors have commonly leveraged the setup to increase their holdings when the price of the digital currency dips, based on the assumption that Bitcoin's decade-long history of price appreciation will continue in the future. The user chooses to acquire more Bitcoin with credit without having to pay with their own cash. The loan type is also popular in another case, market purchases. With a Bitcoin-backed loan, a Bitcoin holder can pay for goods or services with cash, for example, to buy a house or pay medical bills, dystopian, without needing to sell their Bitcoin. Not only does the user keep their Bitcoin stash, provided they pay out the loan when it matures, but they also don't have to worry about tax implications from a Bitcoin sale, which is also terrible. The entire system is set up in a way for you to fail, for you to lose your Bitcoin, for you to have to pay extravagantly high bills, to have to take out a loan to be able to buy a house. There was an article, this was 2 or 3 years ago, where someone actually did how high home prices should actually be if they were on like an actual leveled scale, based off of supply and demand, based off of the idea that there are banks and institutions who are buying up all of the homes around the world to make sure that prices actually increase. They should be around 1/8 the current price. They were going over homes in, I think it was San Francisco or something like that, and they were looking at studio apartments that were like $750,000, and they were like, this logically doesn't make any sense. You may have a very dense city, but these prices are completely out of control, and part of the system is the idea that you should do and be comfortable with the fact that you are in a 30-year debt situation to be able to have a roof over your head. The entire system is terribly broken and will probably never, ever be fixed. This is the most popular news story of the day. Why? Because I told you before, anytime that any rich company, any institution, any bank does something, people in the cryptocurrency space immediately fall to their feet and begin to go, oh, this is so great for Bitcoin adoption. I can't believe that this is happening. The idea of Bitcoin, for those of you who have not been around for the last 6, 7 or so years, is to never have to get into debt. The idea of debt is part of the entire old fiat system. You are supposed to be able to see in real time exactly how much money you have, and that is all verified on the blockchain. The idea of you having to take out debt doesn't make any sense in a Bitcoin world, but that's an entirely different discussion for another time. It has to do with what banks are going to be doing in the future with rehypothecation and making fake Bitcoin to show that they have actual collateral when they don't really have it in the future. We are witnessing one of the greatest accumulations of wealth in the entire world, And I will tell you this once again, this is why we see so many companies making sure that they're jumping into the Bitcoin cryptocurrency space, having gigantic announcements when they tell you, hey, you can spend your crypto over here. They realize that they should have bought more years ago, and they're trying to accumulate as much as they can right now with you at the forefront of their accumulation. So I know that a lot of people do use debt to, do what they need to do, or whatever the actual case might be. This is being touted as very good news when it should not be. This is a bank trying to lure other people in who have purchased Bitcoin, who have a potential chance of actual financial freedom in the future. Think about why a bank like Goldman Sachs would be offering Bitcoin as an actual loan, why they would even be willing to accumulate Bitcoin themselves. This has nothing to do with trying to make it easier for you to be able to take out a loan or buy the home that you've always wanted. It's about them trying to accumulate more Bitcoin. It's like all the other companies a couple of months ago who were announcing like, yeah, you can buy property in Dubai. You can buy property here. You can buy a yacht if you want to. How weird that they're all trying to, get everyone to simply, magically hold hands, skip across the street and go, yeah, I sold my Bitcoin to that company. Good thing Bitcoin's never going to go any higher than this currently is. Wall Street has embraced crypto for a very long time. This isn't anything new. We've had news that all these banks have been into crypto since around 2014, at least 2014. So, this is not adoption. This is simply, they've been doing this for a very long time. They figured out that now was the opportune time to kind of come out with this news. All these banks are accumulating tons of Bitcoin, especially Goldman Sachs. If you don't know how large Goldman Sachs is, take 5 minutes out of your day and read the Wikipedia page so you can really clutch your pearls and be like, oh my gosh, they're gigantic. And you'll realize exactly why they're doing this. All of this is some really weird, shady, behind the scenes things going on, at least in my opinion. This is how I feel about the entire thing. All these banks hated Bitcoin a couple of years ago, and I mean like 4 or 5 years ago. Going on CNBC, yeah, we don't really see a use case for Bitcoin. Oh wow, how the tides or the table or the channel has turned in a very short amount of time, especially as Bitcoin's price is going lower. That seems kind of weird that you'd be looking to adopt Bitcoin right now. What was the other bank? Also offering something to their clients. The other people also offering a 401k for Bitcoin as well. Pay attention to the money. Pay attention to how large the money actually is. Pay attention to the price predictions. And I know they may not always be the most accurate, but it means something when a bank or multiple banks 2 years ago start talking about Bitcoin's going to have 6-7 figures sometime in the future. And now they just happen to be offering all of these type of Bitcoin type of services, gently intertwining Bitcoin further into the older financial system more and more every single day. This is why I said adoption is actually key. And I don't necessarily consider this adoption per se, but it is in its own way. The idea of having Bitcoin everywhere all the time is something very fascinating. And I think that so many people in the crypto space tend to miss news like this. And I think it's because of the frequency of the news. Like I've said before, we continuously get good news like this on a daily basis. And I think at some point it kind of just ends up, it's like, think of it this way. Imagine your favorite food, like your favorite food in the entire world, minus French toast. Love French toast. Can't get enough of it. But if I worked in a French toast factory and I only smelled French toast all day and I was selling French toast to everyone who came into the store, and then for dinner they were like, oh, we got some extra French toast, you want to take it home? It would be too much and it would kind of lose its specialty. And I think this is what happens with all the Bitcoin news. Think of how much Bitcoin is everywhere. How many institutions are holding it, are buying it, the amount of countries who are also adopting it. But we won't get into the whole price thing and yada, 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 but it's more of a, yeah. So this is the most popular news story of the day. Everyone completely lost their minds. Everyone thinks it's absolutely insane, blah, blah, blah. Every other bank is going to be doing the exact same thing. It's also going to make major news. Well, I can't believe that banks are into something decentralized. No, I'm sure not one person at any table for any of these banks has ever muttered the word decentralized. They go over the numbers, they look at how high it can go, they look at the debt ratios, they look at all these other things and how much money they could make as a bank from offering these services. Oh, we can make $300 billion that year? Okay, cool. Let's do it. That's all they care about. Their bank, money is their bottom line. It's enriching themselves and never enriching you. So that's the Goldman Sachs news. Wow, fantastic. Bitcoin-backed loan. Didn't see that one coming. Alrighty. Let's move on. Also in the news, BlackRock, the world's biggest asset manager. I think they have $9 trillion worth of assets. Try to think about that number with your mind. Has listed its iShares Exchange Traded Fund ETF to allow investors to gain exposure to the blockchain and cryptocurrency market without directly investing into crypto. A lot of funds, banks, institutions have been desperately trying to get into the Bitcoin ETF space. To no avail. The U.S. SEC continues, and the next story is also really big as well. Have been trying to launch a Bitcoin ETF, but the U.S. SEC, for whatever reason, continues to say no. So the next chapter in this saga is that the institutions are now trying to list ETFs that have exposure to companies who are holding Bitcoin. Little convoluted, but it's what they're trying to do. An application for the iShares Blockchain and Tech ETF, IBLC ETF, terrible, was filed with the SEC in January and seeks to track the investment results of an index composed of U.S. and non-U.S. companies that are involved in the development, innovation, and utilization of blockchain and crypto technologies. An ETF is a popular investment product that lets people buy shares that represent an asset, be it real estate, foreign currencies, or even BTC. So this was semi-popular news as well. BlackRock is trying their best. And I mean, listen, first of all, they are the richest entity on the planet. For those of you who weren't here for that video 2 weeks ago, I'm going to tell you two things. One, find a video. I don't remember the name of the channel. There's a woman who made it. It's called BlackRock, the company that owns the world. It has like 8.5 million views. You'll notice it automatically. And what was the other part? Oh, I should have said the first part first. Oh, gosh darn it. I don't remember. It's something about... I don't remember. Jeez Louise. Oh, that's terrible. How did I forget? Anyway, watch that one video. It'll kind of explain everything to you. Ah, that's what it was. If BlackRock, this one entity, were a country, they would be larger than the other 99.5% of every country on the planet combined. Just them. Think about that. So them not being explicitly able to issue a Bitcoin ETF doesn't really bother me because I feel like they're already rich enough. They're also buying up all the land on the planet. So if you haven't heard about that, go watch a YouTube video. So that's the BlackRock news. Their ETF has finally launched. Let's see if it actually even gets any interest. Multiple of these have launched from a number of companies and banks over the last 2 or 3 years. The same exact thing with the Bitcoin Futures ETF, because everyone's trying to figure out something that sounds relatively like a Bitcoin ETF, but a lot of people are noticing that they should just be investing in the physical asset itself as opposed to, a fund that is managed by a company who is then investing in another company who potentially holds crypto. It's 5 steps too long as opposed to you just holding the crypto yourself. All right, that's the BlackRock news. Let's move on. In the second most popular news story of the day, and this makes so much sense, Grayscale Investments, the world's largest digital asset manager, is expanding to Europe. Surprise! They said we're going to be very thoughtful, very methodical about each of the financial centers and financial hubs that we ultimately launch in. This should come as no surprise. For some reason, that I don't think many of us know. I think we can speculate, but a lot of us really don't know why the US has become so far behind when it comes to the cryptocurrency space. So, as Grayscale announced earlier this year that they were trying to transform their Bitcoin fund into an actual ETF within the United States, they even threatened legal action. And a couple of days ago, not joking, apparently they wrote a strongly worded letter to the US SEC. I assume that they now have indications that it's not going to work out for them, and thus the idea of expanding into Europe. The world's largest digital asset manager, Grayscale Investments, is getting ready to expand into Europe. CEO Michael Sonnenschein told Bloomberg on Tuesday. He explained that decision has yet to be made regarding which exchanges, which products, and which countries Grayscale will target first. I assume they're going to target England, not the entirety of the UK. It's going to be England, as a lot of times, if you haven't looked into how companies thrive in England because of, I don't want to use the word corruption, but because of corruption, look into that. It could be Ireland because Ireland has really good tax incentives for companies. I think they have one of the lowest tax rates throughout Europe. It could be Germany, as Germany has become a really big hotspot for the cryptocurrency space. They also have that 0% taxation thing. If you hold your crypto for a year, it could be Portugal. Or I'm thinking it could probably be like Gibraltar or Jersey, some type of like an actual tax haven. It's very difficult for any company to actually move into Monaco per se to receive the 0% tax rate or the no income tax rate. It takes years to be able to get that. So I assume it's one of the previously mentioned. The executive revealed that he has been meeting with various local partners to discuss the launch timeline, adding that the company plans to run a series of pilot tests in different markets, of course. I'm sure they're talking to see exactly how low the taxes are and if they'll be able to launch their products. The last thing that they want is to move to France, try to get something launched, and they go, this will take 7 years. Although the EU, they said, is unified, we don't view the entire European market as, in fact, one market. That's because it's not. They are many different countries who are all over the place. They said, instead, we're going to be very thoughtful, very methodical about each of the financial centers and financial hubs that we ultimately launch in, because we recognize the differentiation of investors' behaviors and attitudes and of regulatory regimes. They are very, very different. Where was the other part that kind of right here? And I didn't even know the number was this high. There are apparently 80 exchange-traded crypto products listed in Western Europe. 80. However, the US SEC has yet to approve one. We actually did have news before, and I remember it now. The SIX Swiss Stock Exchange, I think there is a Cardano ETF. I'm pretty sure there's a Solana ETF. I think all these things already exist. 80. I've mentioned multiple other times before that I was like, I think there's like 15 around the world. 80 just in Europe. They could also be moving to Switzerland. That could also be a really big thing as well. So while I do not love the idea of patting a rich company on the back and being like, yeah, go make more money, I think this move is and could be very beneficial to the entirety of the cryptocurrency space, especially Bitcoin price-wise, because they know that they're not going to get a Bitcoin ETF in America anytime soon. Why it will take until the year 2040, I'm not sure, but the US SEC, they know what they're doing. The other part being, if they end up moving into another European country and they're able to change their Grayscale fund into an actual ETF, like explicitly, their fund is then listed as an ETF, I think that'll change the entire ecosystem very, very fast, because we've already seen tons of companies moving to Canada and also moving to Europe to do their business. Like this was, what was the other company who also recently announced? They were like, yeah, we're also going to be expanding out of America. And it's like, I don't get it. I really don't understand why they just won't approve one. Think of the amount of money that would immediately flow to the United States if this fund existed. It would potentially be trillions of dollars over the next 5 to 10 years. So, good luck, Grayscale. I would say that I hope it works out, but I know that it's going to. There are at least 5 places in Europe that will definitely give them exactly what they're looking for. So, yeah, that's the Grayscale news. And let's move on. And to finish things off, in one of the, I don't know how it's so easy to be able to lie. Decisions regarding crypto regulation shall not be rushed. This was said by Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister of India, in an interaction at Stanford University. Sitharaman flagged concerns over alleged illegal activities and misuse of digital assets and stated that India shall be thoughtful regarding imposing crypto regulations. India has been talking about imminent cryptocurrency regulations since 2017. These people have lied to their citizens. What is that? 5, almost 6 years in a row. And it's not even like I'm making that up. I go over the news every single day. If you've been here, you've seen the amount of times we have spoken about the parliament had a bill. They're getting ready to talk about it. It definitely has been pushed through. They're going to start regulating cryptocurrencies. The amount of people who pushed money into that country because they thought that they were going to be legalizing the cryptocurrency space and or legalizing taxation for cryptos and or legalizing the actual cryptocurrency exchanges to be able to do business within those countries. And at every single turn, they've continuously made sure that they give no actual cryptocurrency regulations. This has nothing to do with regulations. It has to do with control over their currency and over their current monetary policies. Many countries around the world have terrible economies, and it's usually hyper 100% in part because of their governments. The governments make the rules that make sure how rich or how poor people actually are, what their taxation rates are, and where tax money actually ends up going. Does it go to infrastructure or is it going into people's pockets? That's usually the idea. A lot of countries have terrible currencies that are currently inflating. Remember a couple of years ago when we started having all these articles from the Bank of England and from the Bank of blah, 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 and from the Bank of so-and-so that were talking about that cryptocurrencies, talking too fast, that cryptocurrencies were not a threat and would not be a threat for a very long time. And then by 2020, we started having articles from the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, and I think the Bank of England and the Bank of Japan, saying that cryptocurrencies desperately needed to be regulated because if Bitcoin got too big, it would have the potential to absorb the old financial system. What happens once again? Who holds the power? The people who print the money. What happens when the people who print the money are no longer the people who are in charge because no one's using their money anymore and everyone's using the new system? Governments are impressively desperate in the last couple of years to make sure that they try to hinder as much adoption as, this is what I think the SEC is also doing. I don't know my opinion. I don't know what the behind the scenes discussions are when it comes to all of these things. It does not take 7 years to tell people you are going to be taxed at 25%. Cryptocurrency exchanges can run within the country as long as you fill out a license. And if you are going to be sending or trading or whatever more than $15,000, $20,000 worth of cryptocurrencies at one time, please tell the bank. It doesn't take 7 years for that. India has had a very interesting history over the last 5, 6, 7 years when it comes to capital controls and trying to make sure that they rein in the amount of people who they believe are doing some type of an illicit activity within their borders. Other countries have been doing the exact same thing. We also saw a couple of other countries talking about if you are moving more than $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, you have to tell the government. Well, that's really weird because even if I'm traveling around the world, when I enter a country, I don't have to tell them until it hits $10,000. Why is it 1,000 for crypto? I think India, and I'm sure they know this. I don't assume that these people are uninformed. I think they know that if there was any indication from them that they had given the green light to actual crypto adoption within the country, it would spread like wildfire rapidly. And if you've never watched a documentary on the haves and have-nots within India, please do so, because it's around more than half of their population, 500, 600 million people who live in desperate poverty. And we spoke about that before. This has to do with government structure. We know that mathematically, if governments shifted around a good amount of money that usually went into government pockets, we could, whatever. That's also another discussion that we were talking about the other day. But to move the point along, these people know what they're doing. It has nothing to do with them needing to go slow, or they believe that cryptocurrency assets are being misused, or they also, what was the same exact thing from 2018, money laundering. Yes, because no one has ever laundered money with the Indian rupee. There has never been a situation where any type of government leader has been corrupt in any country where they were laundering the old currency of their country. That's never happened before. It only happens with cryptocurrency. So, everyone exit the market because we are the only evildoers in the world. I think it's really crazy that someone could sit on a panel and lie to everyone else right in their faces and say, "Oh no, it has to do with money laundering, and there's so much misuse." No one can use crypto in your country. What kind of misuse is actively happening? Why wouldn't you partner with like a major company? Why not partner as a country with Coinbase, Kraken, and Binance and say, "Hey, can you help us create a very secure app that we can let billions of people within our country be able to use?" And as such, when you sign up for this app, everyone has to give us not only, a screenshot of their face so we can see who they are, but also a photo of their ID so we know exactly what's going on. We know that it's them. And as money is passing back and forth through this app, you also share this information with us the same exact way that a bank would or a normal cryptocurrency exchange would. So we can make sure that there's no misuse or chances of money laundering happening within our country. And we know exactly how much money was sent so we can properly tax these people. What? Did I just figure that out in 28 seconds? This has to do with India. Was once upon a dream, touted as one of the countries that by the year 2030 would actually be able to become a leader in finance, i.e. that they would be able to challenge the US dollar and even maybe push China aside when it came to financial regards. But that's not even close to remotely happening anymore. A lot of people don't use their currency, even people within their country. We've had tons of reports before. Tons of people they'd rather use and save stable coins. So think of the gymnastics that a country has to do to make sure that cryptocurrencies don't ever seem attractive to anyone in their country. And even more so, I mentioned this years ago. This was an idea I had in 2016, 2017. I said, what's going to be crazy is the first countries to actually adopt this. I mean, the early adopters who tell their citizens about it and they get into it. Like, imagine if India had told their citizens to, or that Bitcoin was legal around the time Bitcoin was around $800 and Ethereum was around $2 or $3. The amount of wealth that would have been created within that country. It does not take 7 years to sign paperwork. It doesn't. Or even just throw us next to the old system. Anyway, so this was relatively popular news. It's not one of the most popular news stories of the day, but it was kind of in a lot of different places. Sure. So I assume even more so, I would give it by 2025. I think they'll think about starting to push out something for one of two reasons. If Bitcoin price has gotten so high that they can't ignore it anymore, and there's actual people really rallying hey, give us regulations within the country, and they're kind of forced to do so, or if the US does something, because I feel like India is one of those countries who waits explicitly for America or for the UK to do something, and then they kind of follow behind them. That's what it kind of feels like. It's a real shame. It's an actual shame. I don't get it. Big shout out to all the other 15 other countries who did not wait for the US SEC to give them the go-ahead that they should be listing a Bitcoin or Ethereum or a crypto ETF within their country. Alrighty. Let's move on. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters, GBU Wally, Bubble Mode, How's Life Austin, Auspicious Agile and Blockchain, Jamie Saad, Blockchain Simplified, and let's move on. Empire Queen, Fud, Wiser, Roman, Geba, Bitcoin Ben, Arachno Dave, Tony Ambrosi, The Dealer's Den, Captain Something in the Z, Way Lay, Mobarazi, VB Nerd, 21, where am I? There we go. Miguel Grolet, Lauren De Silva, Quoted Biddy, Troy Allgood, Space Case, Need a Miracle, Pat Ternoster, Navarro Williams, Utopia 569, Moonman High, XRP, Martin Steuer, Nostromo, John Sarson, The Animal Reader, A Bibliophobia, Todd Mullis, Adam Graysick, Wise 9 Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Cole D3D, Setsuna, Richie Rich III, Paxis, Nick Mangialavori, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Yes to Crypto, Bodie McBoatface, Anytime Fitness, Mouse Corner Staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigger Macho Nisa, On Crypto with Lionel, and Crayola Michelle, URL. Thank you very, very much for your continued support. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel. Thank you to everyone who has purchased some of my art over the last couple of whenever. Thank you for your support. Thank you to everyone who left a like, who left a comment, who has subscribed, or is still here listening to me talk about my opinions on different places around the world. At the Memento, Bitcoin is currently at 39,470 US dollars. It's up by 0.16%, so it's something. But if you look at this chart, there's clearly more downside because this is a lot. Ethereum is currently at 2,919. There we go. I saw too many nines there. It is up by 1.24%. Binance coin is up by 3.7%. There was no Binance news. I assume we are on the cusp of another Binance coin burn, and therefore that's why the coin's going up. I'm not really sure. Dogecoin is up by 1.2 percentile points. The biggest winner of the day is still ApeCoin. ApeCoin is up by roughly around 7%. It is up by 50% in the last 7 days. It was, I think, at $26 last night. It has moved down. It is fine. The coin was on a very strong trajectory over the course of the last couple of days. I assume it'll probably move down a little bit further, but the price gains are still absolutely wonderful, especially 50% in a 7-day period. Not many things can get you those returns. Anything else crazy? Algorand is up by 2.5. Okay, it's not. Okay. Clayton is up by 0.5. Pancake Swap is up by 7. EOS is up by 2.9. There was no EOS news. I assume something behind the scenes is going on or something like that. Anything else crazy? No. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all might have, what's today? Friday have. I hope your Friday is incredible. Like, not good. Like, I hope you walk down the street and either find like a ledger that's full of money, or you find like $500 on the street, or I don't know what else people can do. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, and or supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.